Once again, thank you all for joining us for Nuance. I am Mike Scala, joined as always by Jay Carter, also known as Timid, the hip hop artist in the chair of BLM Tokyo. What's going on, Jay?
Just finally realizing that we're about to have this season change, because it was a little chilly when I woke up this morning. So you see I got a hoodie on.
It's been raining for 4 days and 4 nights in New York, and people are saying this is biblical. It certainly feels that way.
Well, we'll see about that. But I did want to mention I am a little sore because I did start a couple of challenges within the last 2 days. So putting it out to anyone listening and to you as well. Doing a mountain climbers challenge.
Oh.
So it's a 30-day mountain climbers challenge. Every day there's I think the first day was like 30, and the next day was like 50. I think today it's supposed to be like 60 or something like that. So
that's 60 mountains.
Huh?
That's 60 mountains.
Yeah, man.
You're climbing 60 mountains a day?
Yep, gonna have to do it.
Really?
Is it a trail?
Or is it a trail that you go on, or is it actually?
Is that a spreadsheet? I don't know what that is.
Oh yeah, it's a schedule of the 30-day mountain climber challenge that I'm doing. Anyone interested in joining? You know what? I'm gonna put the graphic in the chat.
Go for it. In the meantime,
jump on it.
I want to introduce Sheba Abraham as well from the League of Women Voters. I know you've been busy with your organization, right, Sheba? What's going on with you?
Yes, I have. We're preparing for our annual meeting on Friday, September 29th at Winecliff Winery. It's in Gardiner, New York.
Nice.
From what I understand, from what I understand, that winery happens. The wineries up here are beautiful, and that winery is very beautiful, I heard as well. And also, too, we're also with the elections, county elections that are coming up here in our county. I had to formalize some questions for each, for the DA, the county legislator, family court judge. We're going to ask them some tough questions so that we can make sure that the people get the right answers and see where they stand on certain issues.
Right. We always struggle when people run for judge, trying to ask them questions or questions that they could answer, right? Because oftentimes they'll say they're not allowed to speak on many issues of substance, right? They can't say how they would rule on a certain issue, but they're running for judge. So how do we get a sense of whether they represent our values, whether we want them on the bench?
Well, we can always ask them what was their, what is your stand on maybe child abuse, or if it's family court, what is the toughest, what is the most difficult case that you had? And
I see. Make it more about their experience.
Right.
That's if they've been on the bench before, or if they were, I guess they should be a lawyer, at least in practice, but you don't know what kind of law they've been practicing. So it might be tough to get that experience out of them. Usually when people run for judges around here, they're very discreet. They say they can talk about their background. They end up talking about their family. One of 5 siblings. Let me tell you how hard it was growing up in that house, but they don't really tell you anything of substance that you want to hear about how they would be as a judge.
Yeah, this is true. And it's going to be interesting to hear what they say and how, because we can now always ask them from county to county, do you agree with some of the decisions that are made by your fellow judges?
It's tough though, because they really aren't supposed to give any indication as to how they might rule on a case on the bench. And so at a certain point, they can say, I can't speak on that.
This is true, but we can try.
Try to push it. Right? We have to get better information than we have, for sure.
Yeah, and when I looked at I said, oh man, a family court, and I looked at that and I said, it's going to be tough. That's why I try to generalize the question as much as possible, because you have cases that are very, very delicate.
Yeah.
Some cases you can't speak about at all. The slightest word may get you in trouble.
The family court is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that. I'm going to see if I can make it. This has been the month from hell for me, a good and a bad thing, right? It's like I say, it's always good to be busy, but I'm also looking forward to being through with September. It's been one thing after another in terms of the business cases I'm working on, public appearances. Of course, we had the rally at the City Hall earlier in the month, political things happening, all kinds of stuff going on. Can't forget the music. So I'm looking forward to it being done. I just celebrated a hearing that I had on a motion last week. And of course, there was a lot of paperwork, right? Because it's, if you file a motion, the other side then will provide opposition and then you provide a reply. And so you're talking a lot of legal research that goes into it, a lot of just banging your head against the wall for hours on these arguments. And then you have to go into court oftentimes and argue it, which I had to do on this one. And so I was very happy that that was done, that we got that motion finished. And now we wait a decision. But that was the end of last week. On Friday, I decided to reward myself with a trip up to New Haven, Connecticut, just to celebrate being through with that motion, because I knew this week things would pick back up again. So I wanted to try their pizza. That's why I drove up there. You would hear a lot about New Haven pizza. Some have gone as far as declaring New Haven the pizza capital of the world. Have you heard this, Sheba, OJ?
No,
I
what?
never heard it. I always thought the Bronx was.
Yeah, so
What?
obviously
I've never heard that either.
being
Yeah, I
from New
heard-
York, we're very proud of our pizza, but New Haven does offer a different style that many people really enjoy. And it's characterized by thin crust and it's well done, right? So it's crispy, well done, thin crust, and it's different. Some people say you really can't compare it to New York pizza. It's a different thing altogether, but it's not quite the departure that, let's say, Chicago deep dish is. I mean, this is pizza. I think you can compare it a little bit to New York. It's still it's like the same kind of pizza, kind of, right? It's just thinner and crispier and whatnot. The thing is, so I went to this place called Sally's, which gets the best reviews. I always say people think it's the best, and it's actually become a little bit of a tourist attraction because I got there. First of all, I went in rush hour, I guess. It was, kind of like late evening. And so it took over 2 hours to get up there from Queens, but because of the traffic, right? Got there and we found that people were waiting online at this place, Sally's, for a long time. They told us the wait was 45 minutes just to get into the pizzeria. But people were there from, I think, Canada, and they drove down from all over the place. It became like this, like I said, this tourist destination because of the great reviews. This place is like internationally renowned at this point. Sally's in New Haven, right? So we went in for it. I liked it. I thought it was good pizza. My critique of it is it was so overcooked because that's the thing. It's well done, right? It's crispy. The crust is all charred or burnt, depending on how you look at it. And that's fine. Some people like it like that. But the problem with me was I like the style of it, I like the texture of it. It almost felt like it was cooked so much that it lost some of its taste because the taste wasn't anything special to me. It just tasted like regular pizza. Like it wasn't tangy sauce or sweet or spice or anything like that. It was just like regular plain pizza sauce to me. I think maybe it lost its taste by being cooked so long. I don't know. So I went today and I got myself New Park, which I live right around the corner from New Park Pizza in Howard Beach, just to verify. Yes, that taste is a lot better than the taste I got up in New Haven. Now, if you could somehow combine the two, I would be all for it, right? If you can get that really crispy, well done, thin crust with that New Park taste, that's the best of both worlds. But my running theory is when you cook it so long, you're losing some of the flavor.
I'm looking at some of the pictures. I haven't had it. And yeah, it does look like it's burnt. A little overdone. What does look appealing to me is like it looks like it's very sauce heavy. I'm a sauce guy. Like I want extra sauce on my pizza.
Couple things on that point. So they do have a sauce only pizza on the menu. I didn't get that one, but they've got one without the cheese. It's just the sauce on top of the crust, and I guess that's pretty popular there as well. The one I got was the sauce with the cheese, but because it was cooked so much, I think the cheese might have burned off a little bit or it got thinner. Like the cheese was almost like cooked over. And so that's why it looked very sauce heavy. And I actually don't mind that. I'm not a big cheese guy myself, but I just felt like it was maybe cooked a little too much, and it just lost some of its essence by being in there that long. I don't know. That's what I'm guessing, because it didn't have a great taste to me. I like the texture. It didn't taste.
Well, you should have added something, Mike. Like, see, when I go to places and they cook it's a brick oven. Sounds like, was it a brick oven pizza?
I think it's coal-fired brick or something like that. Coal-fired brick oven. Yeah.
It seemed like it was a brick oven pizza, but you can't have brick oven pizza without the cheese, the sauce, the meatballs. You have to dress it up.
Meatballs. Now we're getting carried away. So here's the thing. Toppings are fine. Toppings are fine. People put all kinds of toppings.
You're jumping out the window over there, Sheba.
But here's the thing. I don't think you need to. So if you're going to judge how good a place's pizza is, I think the pizza should speak for itself, right? You can add toppings if you like them. I put anchovies on things. I got pepperoni sometimes, mushrooms, whatever. But give me a slice of the cheese pizza, because that's the way you can compare it to any other place. And I think like, for example, New Park right around the corner, you don't need any toppings. You can put toppings. They're still good with the toppings. But you get me a regular cheese pizza from New Park, and it's going to be delicious, right? I want that same deliciousness. If I'm going to say that place in New Haven can compete with New Park here, then it should be delicious on its own. You can put the peppers on it and the garlic and whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, but I don't think you should need to do anything special. I mean, some people say, for example, oh, maybe you should go up there and tell them, don't cook it so much, or put extra cheese. You can do all that, but I'm judging it based on, I'm ordering what's on the menu and I'm getting what you give me, and I want to see if it stands. Right?
Yeah. What's your opinion? What's your idea of a pizza, of a good pizza?
Yeah. Let's start. That's like the baseline, right? Like, what are you working with?
What's your offering? This is what you open the store to do. Let's see what you're doing. Yeah.
Everything else is extra. I mean, even in New Park, and some people will say, just to be fair, right? This is Nuance. Some people will say with New Park, it can be hit or miss. And I agree. It's always good in terms of the taste. Sometimes I think it doesn't get cooked enough, believe it or not. It's a little, I don't know, just undercooked, right? A little raw-ish. And so some people say, well, when you order it, ask for it to be well done. Okay, that's all good. I think though, you should, if you're going to be judging a place, you should be be saying, all right, give me your pizza. And then you should have to order it a special way, or put certain things on it, right? Or spin it around 3 times. Like, no, just give me the pizza and then we'll go from there.
I agree, because otherwise I'm doing the cooking, basically.
Yeah, and it should be a controlled experiment, right? We want to judge 1-to-1. It shouldn't be this place you have to order it like this. This place only works if you put like 3 shakes of the cheese. Like, no. I'm ordering your pizza and I want to see what your pizza is. And you know what it is also the topping. Some people say that I'm a little snobby with that. No, like if you were to get, for example, Domino's, right? Or one of these places, one of these chain places, let's say it's late at night, all the good pizza is closed, you're starving, nothing else is open. You're going to get a Domino's pizza for whatever reason. What do? You
load a Domino's thin crust with extra cheese, extra sauce. They make a pretty good thin crust.
And a ton of toppings, right? Mushrooms, peppers.
I don't get the toppings.
You don't get the toppings?
No toppings. I like, when I go like where you went to Sally's, that's where I get my toppings.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, see, for me, I could only really stomach a pizza like Domino's, something like that, if there's a ton of toppings on it, because that masks the weakness of the pizza, right? But if you're putting the peppers and the mushrooms, all the things, then it's like, all right, now you're really eating pizza, you're eating just all this nice stuff that you're putting on it. But I would never get a plain pizza from Domino's. See, to me, you put a lot of toppings on a pizza to mask the fact that it's bad pizza. But if it's good pizza, you don't need any toppings. Don't
forget the pineapple, though.
Yeah, right.
Domino's has pineapple?
Yeah, you can. I'm gonna say this though, and I might be offensive to New Yorkers, but Pizza Hut has the best crust of any pizza. Pizza Hut's pan pizza, can't mess with it.
Well, Pizza Hut in the South, to me, is better than the one in the North.
Oh, really? I didn't know there's a difference.
There's a difference.
The pan pizza crust, you can't mess with it.
Yeah. And the South is very
personal pan, right? Personal pan pizza.
Just the regular. Well, personal is just a smaller version of it, but they do it the way they cook it in the pan and with the oil, it makes it very crispy. Whereas the crust can kind of stand on its own. And so, you know how you get to the end of the pizza and you got this big hunk of bread, and that can be hit or miss depending on where you're at, whether or not that's enjoyable to eat. But with the Pizza Hut one, there's that crust is flavorful, it's crispy.
But that's what New Park here does well. The crust is really good. I think they put some salt even like on the bottom of it. it's a tastier pizza. The crust, even the sauce has a good taste to it. It's a light slice, so when you pick it up, it doesn't feel very heavy and it goes down very easy. It's also kind of thin. I think New Park to me is the gold star slice, especially when it's cooked the right way, when it's not undercooked. I was a little disappointed in New Haven, and coming back, it took less than 2 hours, so it wasn't that big of a trip coming back. But I did make that trip out there expecting something a little bit better than what I got. To be fair, that was only one. The place I went to does seem to get the highest reviews, but there's another place that also is very well liked out there called Pepe's. I think Frank Pepe's it's called. And from when I looked at it, you see some more of the cheese coming off of it. So I don't think that, maybe from what I'm seeing at least, it doesn't seem like that gets burnt as much. So maybe I like that more.
All right. Now I'm hungry and it's 8:30 in the morning and I want pizza. So thanks for that.
I never do cold pizza though. If it's morning, and I don't like leftover pizza really either. It's got to be fresh.
Oh, okay.
If it was good yesterday, and I'm hungry, I'm going to eat it today.
What do you guys think in the chat? Because this is, I think, a very important subject to our New York audience.
Yeah, right. So what else went on this week? What do we got this week?
Aside from pizza?
Aside from pizza.
You mean there's nothing? I mean, once you talk about pizza, it's kind of all downhill from there.
Yeah, right. I haven't eaten breakfast yet.
So I did want to mention this continuation, I guess, of the identity theft that was going on in our family. I think I might have mentioned it a few months ago on here.
Right.
I'm not sure, but believe it or not, Friday when I was doing the pizza run, at the same time, my mom was getting an alert from her bank on her debit card asking if she made a purchase for jewelry at a jewelry store in Brooklyn for $1,000, I think it was. It seemed like almost $2,000 was being charged from her debit card, obviously without her authority, and also without these folks, whoever had her information. They didn't physically have the card. She had the card. The card wasn't misplaced, so they were purchasing something with the debit card, which were, I guess, a fake version of her debit card, using her PIN number that they somehow got, trying to charge her almost $2,000. And so that is a cause of concern. I'm asking around, and even at the bank, I took it to the bank earlier to try to get it straightened out. It seems like this is something that's been happening. So we need to be cognizant of this. I know that there are scammers who install small cameras at ATM machines. We don't know exactly how this happened in this particular case, but I've heard this, that they'll install these cameras and they'll get a picture of the debit card or the ATM card as you're putting it in the machine, and they'll also get you entering your PIN number, because apparently they used her PIN number, and they might have even changed her PIN number, because when she was trying to use the card recently, they told her she had the wrong PIN. So either as a case of her forgetting, which is likely, or they're actually changing the number on her. So you can apparently get, I was doing some research on this, there are credit card machines that will make a credit card, or I guess a fake version, right, of a credit card. If they have an image of the card front and back, they can print out a new card using that image, and then they dress it up, right? They lift numbers up to make it look like it's real card, to put a hologram on it and everything. So I'm not sure what happened, but to me, it's crazy that this does happen. And the fact that they don't even ask for ID, by the way. I mean, someone goes into a jewelry store, buys $1,000, $2,000 worth of jewelry, and they can just walk out with a PIN, entering a PIN number in the machine, never being asked for ID. I mean, I don't know how good their handwriting is, but I'm guessing the signature isn't going to match it. It doesn't seem like they were really checking much.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are several ways that people can do it. I mean, there's even the credit card skimmers, where they'll put these little machines on ATMs or any place where you enter your card that will go ahead and skim your information from your card so that they can make duplicates. And you won't know the difference, because your transaction or your ATM stuff will go through, because it just goes right through it. And so sometimes, one of the good practices that I've always done is tugged on the slot beforehand to make sure it wasn't something that was just placed on there. But yeah, they can do that. And these days, there's not a lot of checking with ID like there used to be, especially now that a lot of people have their their credit card details on their phones, and you can just pay with a tap. So
Mhm.
Believe it or not, somebody called me an 80-year-old boomer because I was still using debit cards. Now I don't even have an iPhone. I guess you could just with an Android. It seems more like an iPhone type thing to me, but they'll just go up and they'll just tap their phone on the card reader, right? Where the card reader used to be. Now it's just a phone receiver, I guess.
Okay.
And they
Yeah.
buy everything that way. Apparently, I'm seeing this from my friends who have children who are teenagers, let's say they're around 15, 16. They don't even want bank accounts anymore. Everything is Cash App. I don't even know how that works. If
Yeah.
you've never had a
Yeah.
bank account, how do you
That's
put
true.
money in the Cash App? How do you put
Yeah,
cash in Cash App?
I think Cash App is similar to PayPal.
It is.
So I think that's how, I don't have Cash App either. A lot
Right,
of
but
people,
if you never had a bank account, how would you put money in there in the first place?
yeah, you got to do some way to be able to transfer money to it because you have to load it up. It's prepaid stuff, so
Yeah.
you have to
Right.
load it up somehow.
Yeah. I mean, all I can think of is maybe when people are getting their first jobs, their employers, instead of giving them a paycheck, they're just Cash Apping them. I don't know.
Mhm.
I
It's
don't think
it's all numbers. That's all it
I don't know if
is.
I don't know if they're doing that with salaries yet, well, at least with Cash App, but
Because I know
it's
I've
usually,
seen people say that even on social media, they're saying they're taking their kids to Sweet 16 parties and they're saying, and they want to give checks and things like that. And they're like, Mom, no one uses checks anymore. It's all
No.
Cash App now. And they said, my
Right.
teenager doesn't even want a bank account. They just want Cash App. Like, how do
Right.
you get into the Cash App?
but it's the
Well-
same. It's generally a type of bank account, but it's more just a spending account, I guess.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. And you just upload the cash and it's all
However,
numbers.
how do you upload the cash?
It's
Well, we got
somebody goes to, I think with the Cash App, I think it goes through some sort of system, the banking, I think it hits the bank and from the
There's no
bank, it
bank,
hits
I
the
don't think.
Cash App, something like that. It's like all in the numbers because my granddaughter has Cash App. I don't have it. And for some reason, I can just like Zelle.
Yeah, right.
No,
Well,
it's her
Zelle is
Cash
tied to your
App.
Chase account, right?
Yeah.
right.
It's
Well,
something like that.
from the chat, we're getting some super dope information from Lixa. I guess her son has Cash App. Said you can deposit the cash at CVS and Walgreens. So you can go
Oh, there you go.
somewhere and do a deposit right in there in a physical
So,
location.
it is like a bank. See, what used to draw
Yeah.
us into opening bank accounts was the interest. And obviously, for a long time,
Right.
basically there was no interest anymore at banks. So there really was no reason to have a bank account, I guess. But now you're starting to see accounts open up that are offering interest again. But for a long, when I was a kid, that used to be a feature of the bank account. That's why I wanted a bank account when I was younger, because I wanted to start generating interest on my money. If
Uh-huh.
they're not offering interest anymore, then it's more convenient. I mean, the Cash App basically is the same thing as a non-interest bank, right? I'm assuming there's no interest on Cash App.
Not that I'm aware
Yeah.
of. And you're right about the interest. Actually, right now, the average interest rate in the United States on savings accounts is 0.56%.
What about a checking
Oh,
account?
boy.
Zero, right?
There's no interest on checking accounts.
No.
But there are some high interest savings accounts that are out there now. Matt, you mentioned Apple. Apple opened up one earlier this year, and they're doing 4.15%.
Well, Capital One online banking, I think, is also around that for savings accounts.
Is it? I've
Yeah.
got Capital One. I haven't seen their
Yeah.
savings.
Now look into it. Look into it.
Uh-huh.
I did
And
open
also
But isn't
it.
CD
Capital
rates, by the
One-
way,
is
CD
it a
rates are
bank?
going up again. And some credit unions are offering pretty high rates on CDs now.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Credit rate. Yeah. But
True,
who
true.
would bank? Would you said Apple?
Yeah,
Has
Apple.
it-
Apple
Who is
has Apple opened up a savings account earlier because they've had their Apple Card for a couple of years now. Their Apple's credit card, debit type of card.
So
And
that's a
then
division of Apple.
yeah, and then they opened up a savings account this year in April, I believe it is. And so you get 4.15% interest rate. You've got cash back, and it varies depending on the transaction between 1% and 3%. On every purchase, you get your daily cash deposited into your account, and you get your interest paid every month directly into your account as well.
But that's all online banking, right? There's no physical bank tied to that.
Right.
No, they don't have a physical
Yeah.
bank. So, and it's all you can, it's right on your phone. You can look at your account and everything straight inside
Right.
your Apple Wallet.
Well,
Well,
and
would
what I
you
was
trust
seeing-
that?
What I was
Would
seeing
you
though,
trust something like that?
Say it again.
Yeah,
Sheila?
Would you trust that?
Right. So that's what I was saying. So from what I'm seeing, the online accounts are more susceptible to phishing and hacking and being compromised than your traditional brick and mortar bank accounts. And so
Well,
it's a concern that people have.
right. Well, with this one, yes, I do use it. I did open an account because of the high interest rate. Apple is doing this with what's that big Goldman Sachs, I think, is the one that's handling the financial portion of it.
Yeah,
But the
but that's
thing
an
with Apple,
investment firm. Are they in bank? You know, it's an
Are
investment.
they FDIC insured? I think they are, aren't they?
yes, they're FDIC insured. With their credit
okay.
card that comes with it, there's really no number on it, so it's kind of a more secure thing. You have a number assigned, but it's not generally displayed. So yeah, there's some.
I just can't get down. I mean, well, first of all, I've never been an Apple guy, so I'm certainly not giving any of my money to Apple. Forget that. I've never bought an Apple
I'm with
product in
you,
my life.
Mike.
Never had an iPhone, never had an iPad, iPod, anything. I'm more of a Wii guy myself.
Hater.
But I believe there's no I in team. But I can't get down with this, taking my phone out and tapping my phone at the register. I'm still going to use a card. And to me, that doesn't make me a boomer. A boomer would be paying cash only, right?
Yeah.
Grandpa.
I can't do it. And I'm concerned.
I'll pay cash in a heartbeat. So the
I'm
cards
concerned
are
about
okay,
fraud. I'm
but
concerned about these hacks and,
Yeah.
identity
Well-
being stolen. We had this issue, again, this was with the debit card. Earlier this year, it was the case of identity theft where someone opened up a phone. They bought a phone, opened up an account in my mom's name. And we had to go file a police report, go to the precinct and send away for the report. And AT&T wouldn't do anything until we give them copies of the police report, which we had to send away for. And it becomes a whole big mess, right? Trying to make these claims so that your identity doesn't get stolen and so that you don't lose your money.
Right. Yeah, we've got to be a little bit more vigilant because these hackers and these thieves are getting a lot more technically savvy.
Well, who are the
and a lot
hackers?
of
Are
times
they inside? For them to be hackers, is that an inside job or is it
Well-
someone? Or how do they break the code?
Well, if they
There
were
it is.
inside, they wouldn't be hacking it.
9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, it's not like the movies. It's not like they go in and they crack a code. It's generally an analog type of penetration. So they get it through phishing emails where you've responded to something thinking that you're talking to someone official and you're not, or they've seen you put it in, like Mike said, there's a camera or something where they've actually seen you punch in these numbers, or you've said it on the phone to someone you thought was customer service and they really weren't. It's really low tech how they get these things, and it's very effective. It's not like the movies.
We also got a letter from Aetna saying that a lot of people's information was compromised, and
That too.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that'll
So how
happen.
does the information get compromised? I mean,
I
they're
think it's
supposed to be
just
secure, or with dealing with money, they said we're secure. But then they come up with, because Amazon's being sued for that, right? Is something
Everyone has
happening with
these breaches.
Amazon
Well, the
Everyone-
Amazon case was about antitrust, wasn't it?
or antitrust?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. So that's something different. But how do they get what? I just don't understand how they get your information that the parent company has no protection over. How does that work?
You
I
might have
mean,
to look into the negligence potentially, right? Of a
Yeah.
company that doesn't have, let's say, the proper securities in place, or doesn't have a system in place to prevent that. It could be an inside job, it could be originated that way, or it could be a poor encryption, right? I mean, there could be any number of things, but it's certainly possible. It's not, I don't think it's per se negligence if it's a data breach, but it's possible that the data was being negligently protected.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, companies have data breaches all the time because, like Mike said, there's practices, whatever they're doing. Maybe someone made a mistake somewhere. Maybe hackers have found loopholes in that software that they exploit before they got a chance to get it patched. And again, most of the time, the weak link is us. It's low tech methods that they get
I've
your
got a
information.
question, no, on the skimmers, right? That, let's say it's a device that they attach to an ATM machine or a card reader where they're reading the card information. they're not actually taking a photograph of the card with that method, are they?
No, it's a medical, not a medical, it's a
magnetic, right?
Yeah, it's a magnetic device. When you just like when you put your card into the ATM machine,
Right,
it reads
it reads the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that skimmer does the same thing.
Right, so it gives them the information, but
All of it.
my understanding is in order to actually make a fake debit card or fake credit card, you would have to have an image of the front and the back of that card. And so the skimmer wouldn't be able to provide them with an image, right? So if someone actually went into the store and said, here's my debit card, and you know, whatever the person's name is, I'm that person, and they're scanning it, they're using it to purchase items and then entering in the PIN, like they would need a physical card for that. You wouldn't be able to just have an account number for that.
But
Yeah,
you
but
know
you can
something,
go-
Mike, when you use those debit cards, you can also use it as credit.
But they still need a card. I'm saying they would be making a fake card.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You can go on any bank or credit card website and show and see pictures of what their cards look like. And then all you do is whoever's making the card, they just make a copy of it. They've got the data, they load it up on the magnetic strip. The top part is just a printing. So yeah, they can make
the actual card. I guess there's nothing special about the image of that card. They all look the same anyway. And so
that's why they try to implement things like holograms into it to try to, you know, so it can't be just printed.
Right.
But
I saw a video, it was like a police detective or someone walking through the process of how these fake cards are made. And they pointed out the fact that they need an image of the front and the back of the card, but I guess they can generate those themselves if they have the right information.
So the chip that you have on the card, that has all the banking. It connects to the bank. The chip that you have on the cards where they don't have the numbers that are where you can actually lift the numbers. They've just put the numbers in, and you have a chip.
Right.
So that chip carries all that information, correct?
This chip's supposed to help make it more secure, because otherwise it's all stored on that magnetic strip, and then that chip is supposed to help make it more secure. But you know, if anyone can make it, anyone can, huh? If
you're being hacked, how secure? How is the chip's not doing the extra?
That was a
security
line from like 1999. He said computers ain't that smart. Anything man-made can be taken apart.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, you know, I mean, they've tried all kinds of things. I mean, think about it. You've got, first of all, you've got what, like a 16-digit number, first of all, for your credit card. Then you've got a 3-digit verification code on top of that. You're supposed to show ID on top of that. Some of them have chips in them as well.
Right.
So I mean,
they're not asking for ID. I mean, that's crazy, right? A jewelry store. You go in and you buy all this expensive jewelry, thousands of dollars worth, and you never get asked for ID.
Right.
Yeah.
So because I guess they're trying to make the sell too, right? Maybe it's not like a don't ask, don't tell type of situation. I don't know.
And it's just become so you know, ubiquitous to modern life. People pop a card out that no one's checking. Like, you know, you go back 30 years, 40 years when they were kind of new, and like it was more people were using cash instead of credit cards, so they were probably taking a little bit more time. Now you can use your credit card at McDonald's.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's true. And people ask for ID, but that's McDonald's though. I mean, you would think at a certain point, because now we're talking grand larceny, let's start getting into thousands of dollars. Right. At a certain point, you would think there would be more protection. Maybe that should be in the law if it's not already, although I would suspect probably is a law that people just aren't following about.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that could be, if that's part of their policy, that would be worker negligence at that point, you know. But you know, we all do it once you get into the habit of doing something that initially was a very strict process. Once you get accustomed to doing it, you take cut a lot of corners. Think about when the first time you learned to drive, you were 10 and 2 and you were scared. And like, you know, 3 months later after you got your license, you're driving with your knee, you got a burrito in one hand and you got your phone in the other. Like, we become so accustomed, we don't think about the seriousness of what we're doing.
You get relaxed. And that's what it is.
Employees, maybe when they first start working, they're like, okay, show me your ID. Let me see the signature. And after a while, it's like, have a nice day. Here's jewelry. Bye. Yeah,
I'm sure that happens as well.
Was that a store your mother shopped at?
No. Never even heard of before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not even around here.
So they got it some other way. Somewhere, somehow, they got it some other way.
Yeah, the other thing that was crazy was she had noticed that when she logged into her bank account to look at her own activity, it showed her someone else had been in that account viewing the statements recently. It wasn't her.
They need to look kind of an audit on the account to see if they've taken anything out over time.
Yeah. Well, we've been looking at that. It's it's been a mess. One thing that might be a silver lining is if they actually went into a jewelry store, you would think they would have a lot of cameras around to see who these people were.
That's how I got mine fixed.
Yeah. Okay.
A long time ago. It was not a credit card, but I had got alerted that there was checks written out of my account. This was a long time ago. And I didn't write the checks, and so I was reporting it with the bank, and they were following up with the investigation. They look at the camera, and it was my roommate at the time. He was taking checks out of my account, and he was going there to write it for cash so that he could go and buy drugs with.
Oh wow.
So it was the cameras that got it.
Yeah, you see, the last time it was someone online setting up a phone. They bought a phone and set up an account, but they didn't actually go into a store in person and do it. And so they would hide behind computers. But if you're going into a jewelry store, you are now in person, I guess, with the fake card that you're actually swiping, again, that you would think will be picked up by a security camera.
Right. Oh, hopefully that gets solved quickly and anything lost returned to her.
Yeah, and be careful out there. Like Jay said, one thing you could do, and I've heard this also, the local precinct out here would say do this before you use an ATM machine. Kind of pull on it gently, right, to see if the skimmer comes out.
Yeah.
Right.
What else can we do? Is there anything else people can do to protect against this type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, be protecting yourself in email phishing scams. Don't click on any links in emails, anything, even if it appears to come directly from your bank, then go and type in the address in the bar yourself. Do not click on the links, because you don't know. Even those links can look like they're going there to the page that you think they're going to, and then you enter in information that is going to someone else when it looks like it's going to the bank or whatnot. So that's one way to do it.
Right, and they'll try to mask sometimes the domain names in a clever way. So it'll be like a lowercase L for a capital I,
Right.
another character that looks similar to something that you think it is, or it'll be changed, like maybe it'll be misspelled in a way that you might not recognize, but maybe like 3 L's instead of 2 L's, like little things like that. Right, and again, it's just easier it's just safer to go and type it in yourself, because sometimes they'll even disguise the link to make you think you're clicking on a link that's one thing, but it really goes altogether. So be careful with that. I'm very careful with links, and I tell people I don't open links that, for the most part, that people send me, because I'm cautious about that. It could be someone you've impersonating a friend of yours, sending you a link to click on to try to steal your information. I had that recently with someone was trying to get me to click on a link, and I was like, listen, you're telling me that there's an issue. Just talk to me. Tell me what the issue is. Don't try to get me to click on something, because I'm just suspicious. As a policy, I don't open up links that people send me, because I don't know where they're going.
Right. So I mean, that's one way to be cautious is check the links. And sometimes in those links, they could display the link in the message, and it could be the proper link, but it could be linked to a different page.
Right.
So,
right. Also, if you hold your mouse over the link, like I'm doing this now on Zoom, right? And I can see that the link is actually pointing to where it says it does, because you put the URL in the chat. But there are ways with HTML code to have the text display something different from where it's actually pointing you to.
Right. So if it's your finances, I would always type it into the browser myself before going in. I wouldn't click links from my email for financial stuff.
I think the same thing applies. The bank, oh, sorry to cut you off. I was just going to add to your point. Something I think that also applies is phone numbers. Don't call the phone number that you get. So sometimes you get an email or text message saying, fraud alert, call this number, or there's a charge on the account. Was it you? Call this number. Don't do that. If you want to call, you research it yourself, Google it, right? Pull up the actual website of that bank or whatever it is and call that number. Don't just call the number they're giving you, because they could be giving you a fake number to call.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Call the number that's on the back of your card. You know,
Yeah.
that's the one that you know is
Uh-huh.
definitely the right one. So, and if the bank calls you and they're like, hey, we've got an issue, we need to verify what's your number, what's your password, like, yeah, don't fall for that either. You know, you
Right.
call them back
Right.
if there's really something issue. But like, okay, well, thank you for calling me. Let me call you back. And don't call it on a number that they give you. Call it on whatever
Right.
numbers on your card, on your bank. Yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
always get suspicious when I call a number for help or anything like that, and they start asking me my personal information. Even if I called
Right.
it, I start second guessing, like, did I call the right number or did I accidentally get a scam number?
Uh-huh.
I always get cautious when
Me
they're
too.
like, what is your name? Okay, now, you know, what is your whatever, your social or your address, anything, any personal information they're asking me. I'm like, I
Right.
shouldn't have to give you that much information for you to pull up my account, and I start to get nervous.
Yeah, me
Right.
too.
Well, yeah, because I know with the fraud, it's so bad. I know one of the senators here, or one of our senators here, and Senator Rollison, he sent out mailed information to seniors to say, beware of fraud, because the fraud is so bad. And the fraud is so bad, they tell you about they can even fraud you through gift cards. So
Right.
it's pretty bad.
Yeah, they definitely try to take
Very
advantage
bad
of people.
with
I
the
mean, really
fraud.
what it seems to be is people trying to take advantage of mostly an older generation that
Yeah.
doesn't know technology the same way younger people are. They aren't quite as savvy, right? Maybe they're dipping their toe in the water. They're
Right.
trying to keep up with this new world, but they don't really know all the tools of the trade, all the tricks, right? And so
That's right.
it's not that they're stupid, it's that they aren't in tune with technology the same way younger people are.
And
Right,
the
'cause
young people the young people will get got as well because they're so relaxed
Right,
in how
right.
they're using. They're not suspicious of it. And again, a lot of the times it's really a low tech way that people get other information, and it's more
Uh-huh.
through social engineering and conversations and whatnot. And young people will fall for that every time too.
There was one where they were able to trick you into giving your entire credit card number by asking for
Right.
a few numbers at a time. So like when
Right.
you call up, they're like, I just want to verify what are the first few numbers. And then they say, turn your card over, what are those numbers on the back? And
Right.
there's some numbers on the back that actually contain the same as numbers on the front. And they piece it together over the course of the conversation by asking you for each series of numbers.
Yeah. So
So it's
gotta be
really,
careful, be diligent out there.
yeah, you do.
So
Yeah.
scams are everywhere.
And maybe this is why we got to go back to a cash only society. See, now I sound like the boomer. Now I'll take the label.
Well, or you sound like you're in Japan, because Japan is largely a cash-based society.
I don't
One of
blame
those
you, 'cause I
crazy
was,
sovereign citizens, right? And say, I don't trust anything or anyone. Leave me alone.
but
You
you
know?
didn't
I
hear
guess I'll have
about
my
the
own currency.
fraud when
Maybe
it
we
was
should make our own
cash.
nuance currency, Jay.
Yeah, well, we could do that. We can make a nuance crypto or something.
Oh my goodness.
That's the easiest one.
Yeah. But it seems like fraud, it's been more fraud since you were able to use the internet and social media, whatever is out there.
Technology
It
has
seems like,
facilitated.
technology. It seems like fraud has been heightened in that
Well, yeah. I mean, even the ability to hack, right?
when it was cash, you didn't hear all. I mean, not that people didn't steal. I'm
Oh,
not
they
going to say
absolutely
that,
do.
but you had some sort of control over your finances in terms
Back
of
then, if it was only cash, somebody would just bop you over the head and take your cash. Now at least they're trying to do it in a risky way.
Yeah.
It
What was
wasn't
it? What
like-
was
it's not-
the
it wasn't-
common?
It wasn't a common thing. This is a common now.
What wasn't
people-
common?
People
When
used to
people hit you
snatch
over the
old
head and
ladies,
steal your money.
But they still do that.
old ladies' social security checks all the time.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So, people are just
People
ruthless,
were like,
man.
yeah, there was still a checkbook and forge the name or whatever.
Yeah, people are ruthless, man. We just have to be diligent. That's what it is. Have some skepticism in a lot of things, to try to protect ourselves. It's a cold world.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
It is.
Should we not be using our debit cards as much? Or what about even online purchases, and a lot of people do Amazon. I don't order anything online really. I don't do Amazon, but
I
I'm
order
wondering if,
online.
yeah, I'm
I
wondering
order
if the more
online.
people commit, I said commit like it's a crime, conduct transactions online, the more susceptible to fraud they'll be. I don't know.
Well, there's possibilities. I mean, because
Yeah.
the website that you're buying from could not be DCIS compliant, right? They could not have the proper security measures in place. They could not be a secure certificate on the site that allows it to be intercepted, right? It could be a scam in and of itself to, offering something for purchase so they can get the credit card information. Like there are different ways to do that. But again, you would do just some best practices.
Shouldn't Amazon be secure though? You would think.
Amazon should be fine. But I mean, everybody's got an online store these days, right?
But see, I only shop at secured websites, and I haven't had a problem.
And do you know how do you check if it's a secured website?
Well, I don't, right? I just go by what they tell me.
Take their word for it.
There you go. There you go. That's
Everyone
part
can
of
say they're secure.
I don't.
What
I
is
just go by. It's secured. Oh wow! I'm gonna buy.
right. Well, one of the ways to tell if it's secured, there's a
Apparently,
couple of
these people have blue marks next to their name.
right.
I know.
The website address will start with HTTPS on it. That's one thing to show that it's secured, that it's going through a secured certificate. Up in the browser, there will be oftentimes a lock, like one of those regular locks that you put, it have next to it to let you know that this is a secured website, that it's going through a security certificate. So that's one way to know that your transaction can't be intercepted or be difficult to be intercepted. And you can click on that lock and it'll tell you who owns this security certificate, what kind of security that it has on there. Now anyone can get a security certificate, so that could be one thing in and of itself, but that means they can't get that information from interception. So there are some ways, but you gotta,
Everyone will tell you they're secure though. Like the quote from Ghostbusters is, someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I am a god. Was that Kanye?
I guess, yeah, he took those words to heart.
Yeah, right. So
even though nobody asked him.
Right. I'm with Lixa. Lixa in the chat says that she messes with the scammers, because she notices the scam and then she'll just mess with them for like 30 minutes. I do that too. I enjoy that.
Yeah, sometimes you get something on Instagram or something, someone trying to trick you into clicking on something.
Well, I had it recently. Remember, I was showing you in chat a guy on Instagram. So was supposedly the editor, the chief editor for Billboard magazine, and sent a DM to me saying, you know what, your music is amazing. I thought it's great. I'm working on this article for Billboard, and I'm just looking at artists and whatnot. It's like, oh, do you have anything I can hear some more of your music? Okay, sure. I knew this was fake because you can look at the profile and you can tell this is not the real person. So yeah, here. Okay, so here's Spotify, here's YouTube, go check it out. And he comes back, he's like, oh wow, that's some good stuff here. How long you been rapping, trying to be a little bit personable? And this was actually interesting because usually people go in for the kill right away. He took a little bit of his time with it, which was I thought was kind of interesting. And then at one point he even tried to call me through voice via Instagram, which was a very if you're trying to perpetrate the scam, that's a very risky move, because now you've got to somehow pull off impersonating that person.
Right.
But I knew at some point there was going to be the ask, right? I can get you in the magazine for this amount of money, which you don't pay for that. These magazines don't do that.
Not unless it's an ad that you're buying.
Right. Yeah. But he was talking about this article that he was writing, and he's like, I can get you coverage. I'll put you in an article for this amount. It's an investment in your career.
That's payola.
Yeah. And so it took him a while to get to that. So I'll give him, he tried to play the smooth game. And then afterwards I broke him. I said, come on, dude, like who falls for this? Are you stupid? And then so we had a back and forth. He's like, oh, you wouldn't believe how many people fall for this.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. Someone sent me a thing not long ago. Oh, they said that they were starting a business, but this was a cloned profile, right? So it's a copy of someone who I knew or who was on my page already. You'll see that sometimes where they'll get your information, they'll make a fake profile of yours to try to trick people into thinking it's that person. And so this was someone who was in my network already, but it was a fake version of them saying they were starting a business and can they add me to their business page? That was the request. I said, sure, do what you want. But they sent me a link to click on, which I didn't click on. The idea was that I was going to click on it and it was going to give them my password. It was going to reset my password so they can take control of my account and own it and do what they wish with it. So that was a scam that they were trying to run. But like I said, I don't click on links. People send me links. There's no need for that. Just if you want to add me to a Facebook group or something, you can go ahead and add me. But don't try to get me to click on a link.
Yeah. So the lesson here, the bottom line is be careful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
all right. Well, the poll from last week, does it relate in any way to being careful? So we can segue into it by saying, speaking of being careful, I'll poll for
it does not. So our poll last week was, will you pay for Twitter? Which we had talked about last week that Elon Musk was during a conversation or an interview.
Hold on a second. Let's do a proper segue.
Uh-oh.
Speaking of scams, let's go.
Oh, okay, there we go. All right, I can get with that.
All right.
So yeah, Elon Musk was having an interview last week with Benjamin Netanyahu, who I think he's current prime minister of Israel again. And in that he mentioned that Twitter or X is going to move towards a small monthly subscription fee for all users. So the poll that we put up was asking, would people pay to stay on Twitter? Now, he hasn't said how much it's going to be. His Twitter Blue, which is the premium subscription right now, is $8 a month. So it's probably going to be much less than that. I would even speculate, even at $1 to $2 a month, it'd be some sort of revenue. But he hasn't speculated. He hasn't said what that was going to be. So the poll went out and, we got quite a few responses here. There was 268 votes in just a couple hours. 278 now, sorry. And so I gave the choices of yes, no, and it depends on the price. And what do you think? How do you think the distribution of the voting came out?
Oh, interesting.
I think the majority said no.
I think the majority said no, but let's actually try to see who can get closer. We can play the Price is Right on this in tribute to Bob Barker. So it's tough with the three choices. If I had to say, let's see, between the two choices, I would say about 85-15, maybe close to 90-10. No.
Okay. 100% no.
Oh, wow. Okay.
100%.
But there's a backstory. See, people know. See, what happened with the backstory to this is that Elon Musk said he was going to purchase Twitter, and he tried to back out. Did you know that?
Yeah. He tried to back out, and then
So what did they do? They made him.
Well, the thing was, in the deal, there was a penalty that if he backed out, it was going to cost him $1 or $2 billion penalty fee to back out of it. And so when he tried to back out, they were like, all right, well, you got to come up off that money. And he tried to get out of paying that. And then when he couldn't get out of paying that, he went ahead and went through with the purchase for $44
It was like a force, like they demanded that he purchase it. So now he has to recoup.
Well, last week, I remember this conversation, we were saying that we didn't think that this was motivated by any financial interest. He was just doing this for control. Was that right?
Well, I think there's a couple of things here. I think what Sheba's mentioning here is true. There's obviously a financial motivation, because what happened when he took over Twitter, revenue dropped in half largely because of his antics. And safety measures that he's taken out, the security teams that he's fired, all the different things that he's changing. And so big advertisers have just been running from the platform. So they did like $750 million in revenue in 2022, and half of those advertisers are gone now. So he's trying to make up ways to do it. The Twitter Blue was probably one way, but there's only like 200,000 people paying $8 a month, which is still significant, but it's not going to reach that 750 million. Now, Twitter has 550 active monthly users. So
550 million.
550 million active users. So if he puts, let's say he puts just $1 fee on it, he could potentially bring 550 million a month, but most people are going to leave the platform. So that's not going to be there, but it could still be a significant amount that could make that up if people stay around.
Not according to this poll. I mean,
not according to this poll. No,
no.
Not according to this poll. I will not be paying for it, even if it's 50 cents. Another concern is people think is having Musk with all of their with some of their financial information. People don't trust it. So, but yeah, this is people 100% were in agreement that they were not paying for Twitter.
And so no one even chose, it depends on the price. Everyone just said no.
No, I mean, there were actually several responses that said that I needed to have one more selection in there with expletive no.
I was gonna say yes, that's hell no. Okay. All right.
There was the H, there was the F, there was several of both of them.
That honestly does surprise me a little bit when you're talking over 250 respondents for not one person to even say it depends on the price. Everyone said hell no, essentially.
Right.
That is telling, you know, again, as we've said before, these polls aren't exactly scientific, but they are useful in the sense that when hundreds of people are coming in with that, and this is unanimous. And you know what's funny? A year ago, we had a unanimous poll. We asked if we should keep fighting or wave the white flag on the Queen's Link. 100% of people said keep fighting. That, I believe, up until now, was the only unanimous poll that we ever did. So now we've got the second one. That is very rare. We do a poll every week, right? You don't see people agreeing to that degree on anything, any topic in the world, right? So when you're talking about 100% of people, over 250 people told us they would not pay. That is significant, right? That doesn't mean that 0% of the world is going to pay. I'm sure some people will, but I think it does show you that a very low amount of people will, relatively speaking.
Exactly.
Because go ahead.
When it first went out on Facebook, a Facebook friend of mine posted it, and people were like, "Absolutely not!" Then you know, oh no way. So,
and he's got to be seeing this. I'm sure he's doing some kind of market research on his own.
Definitely
may make him question that decision, right? He may not end up charging for it.
Well, I mean, if you could think as well, though, like imagine, for example, you know, a massive portion exits the platform, right? There are a lot of other alternatives right now that people can run to. They're not as feature rich, but they're out there. I'd say it goes down to, I don't know, there's 550 active monthly users. Say it goes down to 50 million active users. If they're willing to pay, that's still $50 million a month. It
won't be that much, though. I really can't see that.
And I don't either.
Our poll here, I don't see it being that. Maybe it's 1%. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's less than 1%. I think that's what you're going to see. Less than 1% would pay for it.
I would not be surprised. I mean, you're talking about a platform that's kind of been ubiquitous to modern life for like almost 15 years, but it's been free, and that's been what, well, freemium, so to speak. But
people feel entitled to a platform like that. Social media in general, right? It's just the model that we've grown accustomed to. We talked over and over again about it becoming the new town square, and there are court cases about that now too. And so I think just viscerally, people are opposed to this idea of having to pay for a space like that. Yeah, technically it is a private site. We've talked about that, but people don't think of it that way. They think of it as their own space, like they are entitled to speaking. And you know, hell no, I'm not going to pay for it. You know, it's you know, it's like the internet to them. Yeah, you pay to get online, but once you're online, you expect to be able to use these sites for free. You know, and not have to pay for each one on social media. People don't it's just not the way that we're accustomed to thinking and operating in society.
Well, it's also because that's also how they bill it, right? Like, I mean, you said yours, it's your space, like my space, literally your space, right? Facebook, this is your profile. Like they do that because that will attract people to come in and use it, because
Yeah.
the real product isn't that, it's the data that they mine from it, right? It's the ability to segregate the different audiences to be able to target for advertising, right? That's where they make their money off of it.
And then you notice people will say things like on Facebook, this is my wall. I put what I want on my wall. They really have a sense of their own space, like an extension of it, like it's the online version of their house or their bedroom or something like that. And it is kind of sacred to people in that regard, right? So the idea of making them pay for it, people aren't going to go for that. It's not what they're used to. It's not what they expect.
Especially when there are alternatives out there, right? And most people have multiple social media profiles. And so, it's going to be a hard sell, but unfortunately, it's a private company now. He can do what he wants at a whim, and he's been doing it. He's been proving that he will be willing to do it. So, we'll see what's going to happen. I know I'm going to be a part of that 200 some people that said no, because I'm not going to pay.
No, I'm not paying for that.
So it is what it is. One more thing that's concerning me with him is how he's more and more injecting himself into everything. So first of all, I mean, he's a billionaire, but why are you having meetings with head of state, for one? Secondly, he just posted a tweet yesterday that says that he's going down to the US southern border so that he could see the situation on the ground for himself. Like, why do you feel entitled for that to be any of your business? You're not an elected official. This is none of your business.
All right.
Maybe
Well,
he's getting ready to become an elected official.
perfect segue.
Yeah.
Perfect segue. If Elon Musk were in the US Senate, would he be required to wear slacks?
I think he would be one that would not do it.
Right.
I agree.
I think he would be, yeah.
So this could be our last topic of the show, right? Why don't you set this up, Jay? There's been an effort to go back to a more formalized dress attire in the Senate because it was relaxed.
Yeah, so there's something that's been a kind of a shakeup, I guess, over the past week, and I may be incorrect. I thought it was Schumer introduced something to kind of relax the dress code, and
He probably did, if I'm not mistaken, because of Fetterman.
It could be. He told members that he was relaxing the Senate floor's informal dress code, which previously required men to wear a suit and tie and women to wear pantsuits or dresses.
Oh, hold on a second. He was relaxing the informal dress code, or was relaxing the formal dress code?
The informal dress code.
Informal.
So apparently
the informal dress code. So in other words, it's going to become formal again, or no?
So, well, he says he's relaxing.
No, I see what they mean. Never mind. When they talk about formal and informal, they're not talking about the style of dress. They're talking about that. It's not an official code.
Right.
Understand. Okay.
So apparently now senators have more leeway to wear more casual clothing. And so some senators protesting this idea of this making this too relaxed have been taking it to the extreme, showing up. I think someone showed up in something that almost looked like pajamas or something. Someone came in like, people can wear jeans and hoodies and stuff now.
Yeah, and that was Fetterman's trademark look. He was, before he became a U.S. Senator, he was Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania. Before that, he was the mayor of what's called Braddock, a small city in Pennsylvania by Pittsburgh. And he always kind of represented himself as the working man who wouldn't be seen in a suit. And he wanted to take that image to the U.S. Senate. Of course, it works in blue-collar Pennsylvania. Some people might feel a little bit differently about it at the U.S. Capitol, but that was his MO, right? He wanted to represent that image, working class image in the Senate. And I do believe that at least partly inspired the movement to relax the dress code.
Yeah. I've never seen him in a suit at all. Has he ever been in a suit?
I think I've seen photos of it. I think he's done it before, but he doesn't like to. He prefers not to be.
Right. I don't remember seeing him in a suit. But I don't see anything with it being, with them coming to work. That's just me. The way he dresses, because I don't think he does it. I don't think people would be offended. Do you think somebody would be offended by the dress code if it changes?
That's what we're seeing now was, I mean, and it could be their grandstanding, what have you.
Well, you did say
Largely,
that. Yeah, you did say
largely,
somebody was offended. Some of them were offended.
largely conservatives are pushing back, as I was saying, this is a degradation of standards. Even on the Democratic side, Senator Manchin also said it degrades the institution, but I think the biggest pushback is coming from
that's being charitable to say that represents the Democratic side, right?
I think the biggest pushback is coming from the Republican side. And you know, they're saying that this is indicative of Democrat failures and all this type of stuff. But the question remains,
taking the partisan politics out of it, I can kind of see the point in that it's a formal body, and the dress code, I think, reinforces the idea that it's serious business happening. You know, I know maybe in society we moved away from that a little bit, some of those formalities, but I can tell you, even in court, you know, as a lawyer, you're expected to wear, if you're a man, you're expected to wear a suit with a jacket and a tie. And if you don't, the judge will give you a hard time about it. You know, you're not dressed appropriately. During COVID, and even now coming out of it, when you have these virtual court hearings, lawyers are still expected to dress up like they're in court. And I've heard stories of lawyers not being fully dressed up and judges saying, you know, counsel, you're still in court, even though you might physically be home, you still should treat this like you're in court, and you should be wearing your suit and treating it with the proper respect. So I do understand that perspective. I wouldn't make it a partisan issue. You know, I think that some people look at the Senate as this holy, almost sacred body of ours, and they expect people to dress the part.
right. And you know, I mean, the Democrats are pushing back, saying, oh, well, you know, Republicans got more important things to worry about. There's, you know, the government shutting down, there's all these big issues. It's more important things to worry about than a dress code. But, you know, personally, for me, I think I would side with the Republicans on this one. I think I want the senators in there in professional attire. This is you know, one of the highest offices, bodies of our country, of our government, that is not only represented to the people, but also to the world. Like, I don't want them showing up there in like bunny slippers and
Oh yeah, no, not to extreme. But what when he said that, what were they? That's kind of extreme. Was there limitations on what he said? Business casual?
Well, no, I think what it was is just, it was being relaxed. And so to push the point, there were senators showing up in the extremes.
Oh, I see. So these were the Republicans who were dressing up like that to mock Fetterman, basically.
Right. To say, well, not Fetterman, but what Schumer did was just saying that, and I guess they're showing up and like, okay, well, you're relaxing it. Oh, so this is okay now then? All right, well, I'm gonna show up like this then. To kind of make a point that, you know, this is a dumbing down or a dressing down of what should be a respected body.
The thing, though, that always is curious to me is that men are supposed to wear the full suit and everything, but if you're a woman, the dress code isn't the same, right? I mean, I'm just thinking of them going to court, right? There's a lot more that a woman might wear, like a woman lawyer might wear in court, different types of outfits and whatever, but a man is always supposed to be in a suit. There isn't much variation that they're allowed. And so I'm wondering if there's some of that, if maybe they're looking at it almost as a level of hypocrisy, that men have to have a very formal dress code, but not the women.
From the article that I've seen, I didn't see that mentioned. I think there is kind of, I don't know if you would call it a limitation, but it's kind of indicative of just traditional men and women's dress. Men don't really have that much of a variation, right?
They're not allowed to. In court, a man is expected to wear a suit, a full suit with the jacket.
What about the attorney for? See, hold your thought, Tim, Jay. What about the dress code for women? Are they to wear business suits? Suits, and then if they don't wear the
dress code, but you'll see more, right? You might see a blouse or a dress or a skirt. There's all different types of things that they can wear. For a man, it just has to be a suit, jacket, a tie, and the pants.
Right. Well, the previous dress code required men to wear a suit and tie and women to wear pantsuits or dresses. So, men don't generally have the different options other than a suit. Like, we don't have like formal dresses for men, right? We don't have formal skirts for men. And so women have a few other options in that regard, but it's still formal wear.
And
Right.
then when,
it could
you
be,
know, nowadays, especially I think on the Democratic side, they're being looser when it comes to their ideas of gender norms and gender roles. So I wonder if that idea plays into it. Why, why are men still expected to wear suits? Why are we being so rigid in our gender roles?
The article I saw didn't address that, but I could see that conversation coming up at some point. I mean, with those changes, at some point there might be a senator, a male senator that wants to show up in a dress, a formal dress. And so
it doesn't have to be even a dress, it could be anything that would be appropriate for a woman to wear. Why does a woman get to wear it but not me? Like I said, it could be a shirt, a pantsuit. It doesn't have to be a dress.
Yeah, but what about a kilt? If a person is of Scottish descent and they want to wear a kilt, would that be?
I don't think that's. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think that would be considered appropriate attire for the Senate under what used to be. Now that they're saying it's more relaxed, right? But
right now
it's supposed to be a suit for a man.
Right.
The conversation started somewhere, and that's why he brought it to the floor.
I think Fetterman, like I said, I really believe Fetterman was
started the conversation. Yeah, that's true. It started with him.
Yeah. So I think that's probably where the motivation or part of the motivation originally came from.
Right.
And it could just also be to relaxing some of what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That could be a whole question of the week, see what people think. Anyone in the chat has any ideas on this? What do you guys think? I'm curious.
Yeah, like look at this. There's a picture here on this Axios article of Fetterman in shorts and a hoodie walking through the Senate subway to go to a vote in June. Like, to me, I think that's too far.
Is it disrespectful though? Do you think it's disrespectful of the institution? Or, how do you interpret?
I think so.
Why do you think it's too far?
It probably has to do with just because that's what we've always seen, and that's what we regard as being professional attire. And this is supposed to be one of the most professional bodies in the government, and so we want to see them at what we consider the best. I don't want to. Personally, I don't want to see the senators sitting up there looking like they're about to wait for their turn at a pickup game of basketball. Like I think there should be some kind of.
What about a president in the Oval Office? We might have a similar reaction. Like, let's say we had a president who never wore a suit.
Yeah,
I don't think people would be too happy about that either.
I don't think so either. Well, remember when Obama was rolling up his sleeves, like people were freaking out, and he had the tan suit. Oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah, that's the other thing. In court, it isn't quite as formal or strict, but there really are only a couple colors you really could realistically wear, right? You could wear a black suit, or I guess a brown, or like a dark blue of some kind. You're not going to really be showing up with a bright green suit or a red suit or like a very blue, like a blue suit either, right? And so people are very limited in their dress. It's almost like we all look like drones or robots or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess that opens the door to that question. Should we be encouraging more individuality in the Senate? Should people be able to represent who they really are? If he's not the kind of guy who dresses like that ever in his life, he was elected. So, I mean, did the voters send a guy to the Senate they knew would not be wearing a suit?
Yeah, I don't, for me, I don't think, I think, this is what the dress code is here. You need to put those clothes on.
Put those clothes on. All right.
Put those clothes on, buddy.
Yeah, well.
The poll question of the week is, do you believe that U.S. senators should adhere to a strict formal dress code?
Yeah, yeah, that's just, I mean, what do y'all think? What's your opinion on it? You think they should or shouldn't?
I think
when they're discussing issues, that seems to go over my head.
When they're discussing issues?
Yeah, when they come on TV and they say, "Oh, this happened," and we try to do this to make sure it doesn't, so to speak. I'm just paraphrasing, if you want to call it that. I'm not looking at how they're dressed. I'm looking at what's going to happen.
Fair point.
what's the end result gonna be for my situation?
Okay, but do you think, I mean, maybe you don't, but might you subconsciously think that they're less intelligent, less sophisticated, less knowledgeable, less trustworthy, or any of these things, less legitimate if they're not dressed the part? Because I think some people might look at someone dressed like what they would consider to be a slob and think, well, I can't trust what they're saying. Who are they to represent my interests and talk about all these issues?
Yeah, well,
Like that.
yeah, because well, I understand that, and it does, appearance counts. I'll say that. And that's what you're taught. Appearance does count. So the
Maybe
suit,
go.
the tie, its appearance is all in the appearance because, even though he dresses like that, it kind of like makes you like, is he, what is he thinking sometime?
Yeah, I mean, and
With
some people
Fetterman, you can
might,
cause you to pause, like, wait a minute.
right. Some people might like it, right? Some people might think, well, he looks like me, he dresses the way I dress, so I'm going to listen.
Right.
It's like more of a populist type vibe.
Right. In the
For
chat,
me,
there was
it
a
would
question.
be,
The question in the chat was that I guess no, they don't think that people should be wearing casual clothes. The question is, how will foreign state officials look at us? We want to be taken seriously.
yeah.
That's a
Yeah, you have
concern,
to.
consideration as well.
Yeah, and I think that's really at the heart of this issue. Is
Mhm.
it a reason to take someone less seriously, or do you take someone less seriously based on how formal that they're dressed? If they're not dressed up, are they seen as less serious?
Right. And I think
Yeah.
to Shiba's point, yeah, that's generally what happens. I think the question here is, should we be allowing that in the highest halls of our government? Right. If you're in your office at work or in a company and you've got your business casual, whatever it is, or you're on the street doing things, I think it could be a little bit more lax. I think we're talking something a little bit different if we're talking
Right.
about the highest seats of
I
government.
agree. Or even if you
Yeah.
were a US senator in your own office and you had your dress shirt on, but maybe not the tied up and a suit jacket on, that's fine. Be comfortable in
Right.
your own office. But when you
Yeah.
the hall, the actual Senate floor, right? The halls of the US Senate, and you're going to actually vote on something and really do your duty of representing the United States in the Senate, then yeah, I mean, I do think that calls for a more formal attire similar to being in court. If a lawyer showed up wearing t-shirt, t-shirt and jeans in court, I would look at him funny too.
Yeah. And, that could be, it's our perception, but I think at least at present, that's kind of where my head's at with it.
Yeah. I do wonder where we'll be in 100 years, right?
Right. Right.
Imagine just waking up from a coma years later and seeing everyone in the Senate in casual attire, and the idea of suits being passe.
Well, I think we saw that this past year, I believe it was in New Zealand. There was an elected official in New Zealand, and he was traditional New Zealander. And so again, they had formal attire that required suits and ties, but that is Western formal attire. And his culture, formal attire is very different. And so and he was allowed to go into formal proceedings wearing the traditional cultural dress.
That's actually a really interesting point. Charles Barron, who was a city council member and state assemblyman here, didn't wear the traditional suit because he said it represented Western culture and he didn't stand for those values. And so he was making a political point by not dressing that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all of these things are things that should be considered, I guess. But yeah, my point and position at this point would be, yeah, it shouldn't be that relaxed. I don't want to see a senator showing up in their pajamas. That's just.
Yeah, that's a bit much.
Well, we'll see what kind of feedback we get on that. As always, thank you all for joining us. I think Sheba should give us the bottom line this week.
Yeah. Oh boy, what could I give on the? Well, what would be? Well, I would say this. The bottom line is, try Sally's pizza.
Okay. Yes, try it. It'd be disappointing.
And try Sally's Pizza, and if it doesn't work, there's always one in your neighborhood that
Yeah.
will.
Yeah, yeah. That's the one good thing about this area, right? No shortage of
Yes.
pizza.
Jay, do
Think
you have
about
pizza? Do you have pizza near you?
Yes. Pizza out here is generally not that good in my opinion. But and it's it's much more expensive. I mean, like crazy for a small amount. But we've recently Pizza Hut and Domino's have recently opened up in this area, and so I can get some.
That doesn't count. When people say, do you have
It counts, man. It counts. Now, I will say this. Pizza in Japan is generally not that good in my opinion. However, I wonder if it's closer to Italian pizza than American pizza is closer to Italian pizza, because that Japan would have gotten it directly from Italy, and even in the word that they use for pizza is pizza, which would be the same as in Italian, because they got it directly from them, so they would have learned from there.
Yeah.
So my American taste it's okay, but it's not as good. So I will do Pizza Hut since it's out here now, and I love the crust.
But see, when I was living in areas outside New York in the US that didn't have good local pizza place or any local pizza place, if someone said, let's call pizza, they automatically meant Domino's or Pizza Hut or Papa John's, right? There was no such thing as calling up for an actual pizza. It was always a fast food place. Like you couldn't say to them, let's order pizza, but not like a place like Domino's. They'd say, what do you mean? Like that didn't compute with them, you know?
They don't exist like that really in the most of the country. It's mainly chains for pizza. It's not like New York where there's a lot of mom and pop and independent pizza places. You go anywhere in the country, it's Papa John's, it's Domino's, it's Pizza Hut, and that's, California Pizza Kitchen maybe. And that's pretty much it.
Then you do have pockets of the country with their own takes on pizza, like Chicago has their deep dish.
Right.
Has pizza.
Yeah. But largely come from chain type of stores, CC's, Little Caesars, Trash Pizza, just anything other than that. So, yeah. Yeah,
but in Chicago, is it Giordani's? I mean, they do have their own local places as well.
Yeah, well, Chicago has a lot of local places.
New Haven, like you said, has their own style. And then, all I guess all throughout the Northeast, you'll see that. But yeah, like I was in Virginia, you didn't really see much of a pizza place at all anywhere.
Yeah, not like New York. No.
Yeah. No. And then in Florida, I think you have places opening up because a lot of people from New York moved down to Florida, right? So they try to replicate the New York experience with varying degrees of success.
Right. So.
All right.
Maybe I'll
we started and ended on pizza. You gotta love it.
Yeah.
Where can people find us, Jay?
You can find us on various places on the internet. Go to YouTube at Nuance Show, Instagram also at Nuance Show, and then for the podcast, go Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, wherever podcasts are, and subscribe. Shows automatically get pushed directly to your devices, and you get updated immediately when they go live.
Gotta love it. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, we've got work to do. We'll catch you next time. Have a good week.